Had another thought following that Kings game and listening to all the criticism that Anthony Davis is getting. Who would you actually trade for? Because they're like, oh, trade Anthony Davis. What center will you be happy with? Now I'm going to go down a list of a few names. I'm not going to spend enough time to go through every list. But really, what you should be wondering is, why is it necessary for LeBron to have a flawless, perfect, incredible center if LeBron is so great? And you could apply this question to a lot of his teammates over the course of his career. How about Ayton? You realize Ayton hasn't been the high points leader on his team once this season? Who do you want? You want Embiid? You want Jokic? You just want the best big men in the league? Is that all? Is that all LeBron needs? You just want to go hand select all the best players from the entire league? Maybe that'll finally be enough to carry LeBron's sorry ass. But isn't it interesting? That's why LeBron went after AD in the first place. AD was a leading big man, if not the leading big man, at that time. Why hasn't he blossomed with LeBron James? I can see that Embiid does have big numbers pretty much every night. Well, that's not going to happen if you put him with LeBron, unless LeBron is going to finally back off and be the role player that he was always meant to be. How is Embiid going to have those numbers if LeBron keeps doing what LeBron does? Which brings us to another big point. Everybody that joins LeBron, their numbers go down. He makes his teammates better. When does that ever happen? LeBron goes out and plucks guys out of their primes. Brings them to his team to help him. And then they just have to fit into the LeBron system. So all their talent, while they still have that talent, gets condensed and reduced to however it can help LeBron. I mean, it's not a lie. And Anthony Davis is only one of many examples of this truth, of numbers going down once joining the LeBron system. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that you wouldn't trade Davis for Porzingis. Porzingis has only had the high for the team once this season so far. How about Rudy Gobert? You want to trade? You want to trade Davis for Gobert? Again, Gobert, not the high scorer on his team once so far this season. Does that make him bad? I don't know. When it comes to Anthony Davis, that makes him bad. I mean, did you forget that it's not always that center's responsibility to be scoring those big buckets? That centers often have other responsibilities like playing defense and rebounding. And someone else on the team is usually the biggest scorer, or a couple of other people, usually a bigger scorer. Well, LeBron needs him. LeBron needs him to be the big scorer. Well, then what you're saying is LeBron needs someone to replace him and be one of those other big scorers in addition to their center anchoring. How about Bam Adebayo? Would you trade Anthony Davis for Bam? Because if you say yes, you're basically admitting that if Bam hadn't gotten hurt in 2020, the Heat would have won that bubble tournament. So Adebayo has been the high scorer for the Heat three times this season. I think Brook Lopez is an important piece, but as far as a center scoring the big points, no, you don't hear Milwaukee complaining about that. They're happy to have him do his job defensively. Don't you dare say Julius Randle, because you had Julius Randle. That wasn't good enough for LeBron. Randle has been the high scorer for the Knicks 3 times so far this season. I guess since I don't know when people are going to listen to this, I should point out that this is November 16th that I'm saying this, and most teams have played about 11 games. So Julius Randle high scorer 3 out of 11 times. How about Jared Allen? You know, I like him. I think he brings good things to the team, but not the points. He hasn't been the high point scorer for the Cavs once, not once. So why isn't Stephen A crucifying Allen? Why aren't they having a pity party for Donovan Mitchell? Oh, because if it's not LeBron's team, this is acceptable. Since this is following the Kings game, I guess I should mention Sabonis. I don't believe you for a second if you say you would trade Anthony Davis for Sabonis, but Anthony Davis has been the top scorer for the Kings 3 times so far this season. And on a team with James, it's going to be hard to be the high scorer because James demands the ball and James outshoots the entire rest of the team combined in attempts. So the fact that Anthony Davis has been the highest scorer this season, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 times is sort of miraculous in itself. So Jokic is the shining example amongst all the centers that I've listed who has been the high scorer for his team every night so far. That guy still isn't getting the love that he deserves. So the freak Wembanyama has only been the high scorer for the Spurs twice so far. It's not like James would have patience with Wembanyama anyway. He wouldn't want anyone else getting that much attention on the team. But you tell me, LeBron people, who would you trade AD for? And would that be good enough? You know, if that person isn't consistent, then what? It's a never-ending pattern with LeBron James. No one's ever good enough. No one's allowed to make mistakes except for LeBron. No one's allowed to have bad nights except for LeBron. And interestingly, these players have more bad nights when they're with LeBron for some mysterious reason. Does anyone think it makes sense for one guy to have less points when other people are scoring more points? I mean, there's only so many attempts in a game. Are we going to ignore the fact that both LeBron and D'Angelo Russell had 28? Reddish had 16. Reeves had 9 himself. So Anthony Davis gives another 9. 3 other players combined to provide 20 points. I mean, there's a limit. Anthony Davis doesn't get to shoot if these other people are shooting. Please don't think that I'm some sort of Anthony Davis fan. You know, I pretty much stopped liking him the second he joined LeBron. So I'm just asking people to be a little bit real about this and consider the numbers.